Awaken to hair growth. Awaken to hair growth because there is possibility to get your hair back. Awaken to hair growth because we're not told that we're able to conquer and overcome alopecia. Awaken to hair growth because I want to be a positive light and beacon for you because I've healed my alopecia and now I help others do the same with different types of alopecia, men, women, children of all ages, of all races and ethnicities. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Alopecia Angel podcast, Awaken to Hair Growth. Awaken to hair growth because during my own alopecia experience and journey, no one gave me any clue that it was possible to reverse. No one gave me any hope or any signs of healing. No one gave me any guarantees, and really no one gave me any positive feedback at all. No community, no organization, no nothing. Was ever positive or ever really, shown a light that this was possible to reverse. And I wanted to welcome you, not just to the podcast, but also to the possibility of hair growth, because it is possible. And it is because I'm here as proof, but more than that, all my clients are too. And you may be thinking, well, no, what type of alopecia did you have? What type of alopecia do your clients have? Is this really possible for me? And I'll tell you that I have tons of case studies. I have tons of clients from all over the world, different ethnicities, children, men and women of all ages and races, and additionally, different types of alopecia, including totalis, universalis, androgenetic alopecia, areata, telogen, effluvium, diffuse, traction alopecia, and so many more that have all been reversed. And unfortunately, the medical system, the education there has not allowed us, including myself, to heal through that method. And this is part of why I started Alopecia Angel. So let's go back a little bit. Who am I? Well, my name is Johanna, and I was diagnosed with alopecia more than 6 years ago. And it took me over 3 years to finally see hair growth. And granted, when I first was diagnosed, which was in the salon of my hairdresser, who knows me since I'm 13 years old, it was pretty devastating and very, very traumatic. It was probably the first time that I cried at the salon in front of everybody when I started researching what alopecia was, since he was the one who had diagnosed me right then and there. And at my healthiest that I thought that I was still diagnosed with alopecia. And, in hindsight, now looking back, I realized that it doesn't matter, who you are. Alopecia doesn't discriminate. So my clients range from dietitians to nutritionists to personal trainers to hairstylists to pharmaceutical representatives to all different types of people in the health and wellness industry, along with the medical community, along with just regular average children that are in school, moms, or people who are teachers and healthcare providers, and every different walk of life, really. And what had happened was that I was diagnosed and I went straight to my doctor, just like many of you all have done. I went straight to my doctor. I didn't get the results I wanted. I went to another doctor and another doctor and another doctor, and still no results. And all these recommendations and all their medications and all the trials just seemed like Band-Aids. There was no results and no guarantees. I was frustrated with the system, and I was frustrated with not having answers and not having control. And this is what led me on this journey. I was so driven to get my hair back. I was so driven to get my health back in order, because for those of you who are dealing with alopecia, let's say the parents of children with alopecia, what you don't know is that alopecia is much more than hair loss. It is an out-of-body experience. There are a gazillion symptoms that go along with it, including insomnia, depression, anxiety, ridges and cracks on the fingernails, digestive issues, dry skin, dry eyes, fatigue, headaches. There are just numerous varieties of different symptoms, and I felt them all. I really did. And it's almost like COVID in that sense, where it's not just a regular flu, it's much more than that. And for each person, it's a little different. And just like alopecia, it's a little different for everybody. And this is why they say there's no cure, because not one pill or one cortisone shot or one type of medication will heal and cure everybody. And that's very true. It won't. And so this is what led me to go the holistic and natural route, because again, I was fed up with the medical establishment. I was fed up with Band-Aid solutions. I was fed up with products that didn't pull through and didn't show anything for it. And this is why I created Alopecia Angel, because I don't want anyone else to have to suffer, to have to prolong any results, or to struggle with hair loss anymore. It took me over 3 years, and 3 years of full-time dedication. And when I say full-time dedication, I mean 16, 14, 18-hour days, weekends included, full on dedicated to this. I made it my job to get my hair back, because for those of you watching on YouTube, you can see that I have, if I may say, beautiful, healthy, curly hair. And I've always had my curly hair, and I didn't want to lose it. And the type of alopecia that I had started as areata. And I also experienced diffuse. And I also was experiencing signs of totalis, because yes, you can graduate to the next step, which is totalis. You can graduate to universalis. What I like to say is that alopecia is kind of like a cold. And if you let it fester, it will graduate to bronchitis. It can graduate to pneumonia. And as anyone knows, you don't want pneumonia. You don't want bronchitis. You don't want a measly cold to get out of hand, right? And so when you have alopecia, it's best to address it as soon as possible. Do not let it fester, because I've had clients come to me after 10 years, 20 years of it letting it fester, in their vicious cycles, come and go, come and go, come and go, and not do anything, just assuming, thinking, and crossing fingers that it'll get better. And then lo and behold, it doesn't. It gets worse. So that's your first tip, is to not let it fester. But going back to why I started Alopecia Angel is because, again, when you have a proven solution to be able to create the results, to get the hair growth in less time, to avoid additional and excess suffering, crying, tears, pain, why not? Why not? And so after 3 years of struggling myself, I knew I had to share my story and also share my process with the world. And again, it took me 3 years just to see a little bit of hair growth. But then I dialed in. I wrote a book. I wrote another book. I started coaching people. And lo and behold, different types of people with different types of alopecia started healing and started seeing hair growth in less than 2 months, in less than 3 months, in less than 4 weeks. And this is when I knew that I had to share my knowledge, my information with the world. And so Alopecia Angel was born. And now here in 2022, the Alopecia Angel podcast is born too, because it's important to get the news out. It's important to decipher and to take away all the misinformation that a search online can give you to what your doctors are telling you to what is truly possible. Because that's the reality. There are more possibilities for hair growth than what people lead you to believe. There's more possibilities to healing, if you really want it, than what your doctors, the medical establishment is leading you to believe. You can reverse this. Just like I know of people who've reversed their MS, their Hashimoto's, and so many other situations with autoimmune disease. You can reverse it and you can heal it. It's possible. Granted, there's work involved, but it's definitely possible. So I was first diagnosed 6 years ago. And as I mentioned, it was absolutely devastating. What I've come to learn is that healing it the natural and holistic way is far better off for you in the long run. A, because you're upgrading your immune system. B, because you're tackling the root cause of your alopecia. C, because once you understand and learn how to control your health and your alopecia, then it can never come back to haunt you. Let me say that again. It can never come back to haunt you. So for those of you who've had vicious cycles of on and off over years, months, or decades, you can put a stop to all that. You can put the kibosh and say no more to the vicious cycles. You can also say no more to the hair loss. And you can also understand and learn to be more self-aware so that you understand what's needed to keep you personally in balance. And I say this because, healing alopecia is not a one size fits all. It's very much customized. And also, there's many factors. There's many factors to alopecia. It's not just diet. It's not just this. It's not just that. There are so many factors, and all the factors have to be uncovered. It's almost like that game, where you're trying to do matching of, let's say, the flower with the flower and the Ferris wheel with the Ferris wheel. It's like that card game, if you know what I'm talking about, where you have all the cards and they're all face down, and then you start uncovering them and you start making the match. It's kind of like that, where you have to uncover every factor and every nook and cranny to really get the full picture of what's needed and what the ingredients are specifically for you. And you're probably asking yourself, so how do I know the factors and how do I know what's needed for me? Because, everyone's different. Well, within my years of working with people and clients from all over the world, I've created a program. It's called the Hair and Heal program. And in this program, we talk about the customization. We also go through all the factors that are needed, and it gives you the foundation for you to see the results and for you to upgrade your health in less time. And this is huge because no one is teaching us this. No one is really giving us the full perspective or the full picture of what health looks like, of what and how to treat alopecia naturally. And guess what? Without any side effects, without any risks or negative, issues later on down the road. So when I got alopecia, I was in my 30s and I had just met my husband. And, when you meet that special person in your life, the next step for me was babies and fertility and, growing my family. And the unfortunate thing about all this was that during alopecia, or when I was diagnosed and dating and, going through the motions of getting together and getting engaged and all this, was that, yes, I was looking at the next steps, but at the same time, I was also confronted with, do I take medication? Do I not take medications for alopecia? Do I do the steroid shots? Do I do this? Do I do that? And granted, I did try a lot of the medication. And a lot of it, I said no, because I started researching more and more about the effects and the side effects. And a lot of it affects your fertility. Lo and behold, a lot of the medications also hinder other areas of your health, including kidneys and your liver. And, there are risks and side effects. And if there was anything that I didn't want to hinder was my fertility, but also my health in general. There's no point in trying to obtain hair growth when you're destroying other areas of your health. It just doesn't make sense to me. And it also doesn't make sense to me that the cortisone shots or any cortisone type treatments suppress your immune system. That also doesn't make sense to me, where the doctor is prescribing medication that suppresses your immune system. That doesn't make sense. And to me, now with COVID, right, it makes you even more vulnerable. So if you are taking this medication, I would highly encourage you to rethink that and reevaluate that, because again, suppressing your immune system only makes you more vulnerable to disease. It doesn't upgrade your health at all. And so that's first and foremost. I wanted to protect my fertility. I wanted to give myself the option to have kids. And luckily, yes, I am now a parent and I love being a mother, but I also love talking about alopecia. It always comes up in every topic. And this is probably another reason why I started the podcast, because I can't talk enough about it and about the possibilities for you to reverse this. So whether it's been 5 months or 5 years or 50 years, know that it's possible to reverse. And this is, again, why I created Alopecia Angel, because there is no beacon of light. There is no spark of hope anywhere. And when I was going through alopecia and through my journey, it was all negative. It was all doom and gloom. It was all depressing. It just worsened probably my mindset, my spirit, and just my outlook on what was possible for me. And I know that many times we look up to people, we look up to people who do good in the world. We look up to, certain people who advocate for other groups of people and for other causes. And I want to advocate for you. I want to advocate for those with alopecia who think that there's no possibility to healing, who are confused by all the misguided information that's online or the misinformation that they're given from one doctor to another, to the dermatologist, to the endocrinologist, to here, to there, and everywhere else, and everything in between, because there is a streamlined approach. There is an approach that is customized to people. There is a way for you to heal. And it doesn't have to include medications, pharmaceuticals of any sort. And I made it this way because, again, for me, because I wanted to protect myself. I wanted to upgrade my health, and I have. And again, it's been more than 6 years, going on to 7. And it's been a beautiful thing, not just for me, but for the hundreds of clients that I've helped already around the world. If this is your first introduction to Alopecia Angel, know that I started with an ebook. It's called The Secrets to Health and Hair Growth. And I started this book in English. It's now also in Portuguese, Spanish, and Dutch. And from there, I continued on with a cookbook. And now I have a full-fledged course, a 2-month course that is offered periodically. But more importantly, if you really wanted to understand alopecia a little bit more and understand the positive sides to this, but then also maybe other sides that you haven't really considered, I would highly suggest that you grab the free downloads online at the website, www.alopeciaangel.com, and you can find free PDFs that include what medications cause hair loss, because yes, certain medications, including birth control, create hair loss. You can also learn how the risks and side effects of typical common alopecia medications, those that are strictly for boys and men, and those that are strictly for women. And guess what? A lot of it affects fertility for both genders. And it's quite disheartening. So if you're not aware and you're just taking the Kool-Aid, like I like to say, from the doctor without asking questions, with their 10-minute, 7-minute time frame, they're not going to have enough time to go over the risks and the ramifications of this medication. So inform yourself. And this is why I have these free PDFs online for you. I also have a free PDF about children and how to understand a little bit more about what's going on with children and alopecia, because alopecia in children is a little different than alopecia in adults and vice versa, right? And so the approach and the programs are all very much tailored. It can't be one size fits all. And this is, again, why there's quote unquote no cure, because not one pill, not one cream will do it for everybody. It just won't happen. But there is a way to heal, and there is a way to reverse alopecia. It's just a holistic way. It's a holistic, natural route that essentially the medical community cannot monetize, because it's not in the form of a pill or a potion or a serum or a shampoo, right? So if you want to heal, if you want to reverse and say goodbye to alopecia, I recommend and encourage you to take this podcast and continue the journey with me. I have so much to share. I have so much wisdom, and I want to empower you to take back your control and take back your hair growth. I look forward to talking to you and speaking more. The next episode will be juicy, and so will the next upcoming ones as well. Thank you so much, and take care. Thank you for listening to the Alopecia Angel podcast, a positive light in healing alopecia. You can do this, and we can help. Spread the word that reversing alopecia is possible by telling your friends and family.